Hello and welcome to Blytheway Business News. Today we're joined by Alex Lemon, who's president of Mkango Resources. Mkango is listed in London on the AIM market, but also in Toronto on the stock exchange, Toronto Stock Exchange Venture Market, and operates down in Malawi. Alex, welcome to Blytheway Business News. For viewers who may not be that familiar with Mkango, can you give us a quick overview of the company and what you're trying to achieve?
Sure. Good morning, Tim. Our primary business is exploration. The country we're working in is Malawi, and predominantly for rare earth elements, where we've had great success. We have 4 exploration licenses in Malawi. We have the Songwe rare earth license, which is the Palombe license. That is 51% held by Mkango and 49% held by Talaxis, our strategic partner. We also have 3 other exploration licenses, all 100% owned by Mkango Resources or its subsidiaries in the country. And those consist of Mchinji, which was awarded last year, where we're looking for rutile, ilmenite, base metals, gold, and also Chimimbe, where we have prospectivity for nickel, cobalt, chrome, as well as rutile and gold. And finally, the Tambani license, where we have prospectivity for uranium, and we've previously put some results out on that.
Okay, so quite a broad range there. And I want to come back and talk about the rare earths later on and how they're used in magnets and how that's very exciting
Sure.
at the moment. But you've just this week announced some very interesting results from, I hope I get this pronunciation right, Mchinji, the Mchinji license in
Yeah.
Malawi, which is rutile and other elements. Tell us a bit about that, because I mean, I think potentially that's the scale potentially is quite significant. So that's not rare earths. Tell us about rutile and why you're excited about it.
Sure. So we've had a very exciting announcement this week. We've made a discovery of high-grade rutile within our Mchinji license. Now, this was found when we were carrying out early-stage reconnaissance exploration over the area, carrying out soil sampling and some initial auguring over the license area. And we were delighted to get the rutile and anatase grades that we got, up to 1.07%. These are high grade. Rutile and anatase, what are they? Well, they're the naturally occurring forms of titanium dioxide. So rutiles, it's actually quite rare to find high grade, potentially large scale rutile deposits in the world. There's actually only one primary source rutile mine working, which is Sierra Rutile in Sierra Leone, which is owned by Iluka. So you can understand some of our excitement to have come across this rutile within this Mchinji license. Rutile is used predominantly, rutile, anatase, ilmenite, they're used for pigments. 90% of their use is for pigments, which go into paints, goes into coatings on magazines, papers, and also into plastics as well. 5% of their use is approximately 5% goes into producing titanium metal, particularly for the aerospace industry, when very high grade titanium metal is required. Also for specialized welding rods as well. So it's a market which is in demand. There's not many naturally occurring rutile deposits. Most rutile production comes from secondary production of heavy mineral sands deposits. Current price, approximate price for rutile, we're looking at about $1,200 per ton.
Okay, so not many sources, not many mines globally, but huge demand for pigments and aerospace and specialty welding rods, as you said. So I suppose this was a significant, almost bonus for Mkango to find it in Malawi.
What's important about this discovery is that it showed similarities to the saprolite-hosted rutile mineralization that on the adjoining license, our neighbor Sovereign Metals, which is an ASX-listed company, had been working on and discovered over the last sort of 12 months. So they've recently put out results from a high-grade saprolite-hosted prospect, getting very exciting grades from that prospect. They've got other prospects throughout their license areas. This license adjoins the Mchinji license, and certainly looking at the geology and the similarities and the scale, certainly, Sovereign are looking to be opening up a new rutile mineralization province. This isn't just a one-off prospect or deposit. And certainly from the work that we've carried out on Mchinji, it's looking to be very similar. We're getting similar exploration success. So for us, it's important to get back on the ground, start a much larger exploration program over both Mchinji and the Chimimbi licenses, to increase the amount of soil sampling, geochemical soil sampling. So we've got mineralization at the bottom of the auger hole. And so a lot of work needs to be carried out. We need to go back in there, find more targets, find more prospects. And by doing the soil sampling and further augering program within the license areas, we're very hopeful of coming up with some good prospects, good targets, and we hope interesting results.
So it sounds like potentially we have a whole new region here, which is going to be rutile rich. And I hope, in the coming months, you'll come back and tell us about progress there. But can we turn now to, where Mkango started, which is in rare earths, the Songwe Hill rare earth deposit. Now, you're working on the feasibility study. How's that getting on?
Yeah, well, as you know, and as your viewers know, we're focused on our rare earths project, and we're in the midst of completing the bankable feasibility study, or I should say studies. There's a huge amount of work going into those studies, both in Australia, where we're carrying out mineral processing test work, in Malawi itself, where we're moving forward the ESHA and all the components of that, and also in South Africa, where, for example, we're working with our key engineering group, which is Senate DRA, to progress the actual engineering design work for the feasibility study. So that's all going very well, moving forward, a lot of work going into it. It's a great project, and we're getting a lot of support from Talaxis, our strategic partner, to get this done properly, to do it to the highest level of standards, to make sure that we have World Bank Equator principles. This is a sustainable project. In our new world of ESG, it's absolutely essential that we carry out the feasibility studies to the highest level, and that's what we're doing. And so that's all very exciting. We've got we're currently working on the publication of a new ESG report for the group, which will be out shortly. And the progress that's being made on the ground and in Australia and Africa, despite COVID, is very pleasing, and it's going in the right direction. Recently, the international airport in Lilongwe in Malawi has just reopened. Flights are starting to go back into the country. COVID levels are very low in Malawi, fortunately. It hasn't hit the levels that have been seen in South Africa. So as a company, we take all precautions. As you can imagine, we actually carried out this initial reconnaissance work during a COVID period. But we make sure that all of our teams have proper PPE, proper social distancing takes place, proper transportation, so that risks are reduced to the minimum. And certainly, with this new program, which we intend to start in the very near future on Mchinji, that whole side of things is moving forward at the same time as the rare earth feasibility studies.
Many of our viewers may not be as familiar with Malawi as a mining destination as, say, South Africa or Tanzania or many other African countries. But I understand you've recently had the Minister of Mining, Rashid Gaffer, there with some of his colleagues. You seem to be getting a lot of support from the Malawian government. I guess that's the result of lots of years of working in partnership with them. It just give us a bit of a sense of how it is to be in Malawi and what kind of support you're getting from the government and what do they want out of all of this?
Well, we've been working in Malawi for 12 years. We have close relationships throughout the government, throughout the civil service. We're a company that's gone into the country, applied for exploration licenses, had them awarded, had them renewed, and actually carried out the exploration work. So we've built up a very good relationship of trust between the company and the nation of Malawi, not just the government, but the people on the ground, the communities, the chiefs, the people in the villages, in the schools, from headmasters to chiefs to district commissioners, going all the way up to the high echelons in government. So we have a lot of support. You need that. You need to have a social license, not just on the ground where your exploration project is, but also at government level as well. So that's one of the reasons we decided to work in Malawi. The people are fantastic. And we were honored that on one of the Honorable Minister's first visits to any exploration mining site in the country, he visited the Songwe Rare Earths project. And that shows the importance that the new government have and put on this project, and they want to see it developed. The Honourable Minister Rashid Ghaffar said on his visit that he was very pleased with the transparency, the work that had been carried out, the corporate social projects that we have, responsibility projects that we have with the communities. And these are projects that have been going on since we first applied for the exploration license, over 10 years ago. So it builds up that social license. It's incredibly important for the future success of the project. In his delegation, he had the Chief Secretary, Dr. Joseph Makandawira. He visited the site. He said that the future of Malawi is in the mining industry. What's important is not just about the mining industry, it's about the electric revolution. Malawi is a country which can sustainably produce the rare earths that are needed to go into high strength magnets. So the neodymium, the praseodymium, the dysprosium, the terbium, those rare earths are driving the future decarbonization of the world and driving the whole electric vehicle, clean energy sectors. And it's happening. And with the recent awful events over the last six to 9 months of COVID, that I think has shown to the world that we want to live in a cleaner place. We want to have electric vehicles. We don't want to have polluted air. And Malawi is in a position to provide not just Europe, North America, Asia with those rare earths. So Malawi really is not just a partner for Mkango, but also for the UK and moving forward from the point of view of potential future supply of these raw materials which are so needed in the magnets which go into hybrid cars, electric cars, and wind turbines.
10 years in the country is clearly paying dividends for you now with the support you're getting from the government. But I wanted to also move on to this electric revolution, because from one government to another, the European Commission have announced their own actions to try and secure access to the raw materials for rare earths. I mean, I think one of the other big potential suppliers of rare earths is China. And I think we're all keen to see that we are not necessarily dependent on China for access to rare earths. People get concerned about supply chains. They get concerned about the need for rare earths to go into magnets for electric vehicles and wind turbines. From your perspective, Alex, just explain why the supply chains are so important and why having rare earths in Malawi is going to be beneficial to a European EV, a European electronic revolution, a manufacturing base.
Yeah, well, the timing for this new initiative by the European Union could not be better for Mkango Resources. We've always had very close links into Europe. Europe is a larger market for rare earths than actually the US is. And, you know, if you think of all the car manufacturers that are based in Germany and the rest of Europe that are all moving towards hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles for their new models. So there are also magnet producers in Europe as well. So it's very important with the complicated politics which we're now seeing throughout the world that the EU and also the UK has you know, a sustainable supply of rare earths so that that can feed into the magnet producers in Europe, so that that can then feed into the motor producers, the electric motor producers in Europe, and then onto the vehicle producers, the wind turbine producers, many of whom are producing this equipment in Europe. It's a big market. Also, that links into Hypromag, which we have a 25% ownership in Hypromag, which is through our Magneto subsidiary. Through that UK-based, well, actually Birmingham-based collaboration with the University of Birmingham, that's looking at the recycling of rare earth magnets, which also links into the whole UK, EU sourcing of sustainable materials. And it's that cycle, and it's making sure that we have primary sources of supply, but also that the rare earths that are used in all of these, whether it's consumer electronics, vehicles, wind farms, can also be recycled, but also recycled to keep that supply within Europe and the UK. So it's all sort of connected, and the timing, as I mentioned, it's great news for the industry, but also for Mkango Resources.
So we're sitting here looking towards the end of 2020. You're obviously making great strides with the rutile discovery and then with the rare earths. What should viewers be looking out for in the next 3 months towards the end of the year? What's the news flow look like? What's the exciting stuff we should be looking out for from Mkango?
Sure. Well, as I've already mentioned, there's a lot of work streams being carried out on the bankable feasibility studies for the Songwe Rare Earth project. So definitely keep a lookout for news on that. As far as the Mchinji discovery, as I've mentioned, we're due to start very soon a major exploration program in those licenses. I would expect news flow to be coming out regarding that exploration as well. Also, we have a history of looking at searching and exploring for other minerals within Malawi. It's a country that we've worked in for many years. We have huge support from the government, as you've seen, and it's very much a partnership with the government of Malawi to develop that industry, that sector, and to not only develop the Songwe Rare Earths project, a potential future mine, but also to see how we can develop the exciting results, the rutile results that we got from the Mchinji license, see how we can quickly develop that project, and also constantly searching the rest of the country for other exciting projects which we feel can bring huge value to Mkango and its shareholders, but also to Malawi and its people.
Thank you, Alex. That was Alex Lemon, president of Mkango Resources, telling us about the new discoveries of rutile in Malawi, which will be very interesting to see how that's taken up by the aerospace and pigment industries, and then making a wonderful link between Birmingham and Malawi and positioning Mkango absolutely central in this growing industry of rare earths for batteries, magnets, EVs, and wind turbines. Mkango, as we said, is listed on the AIM market in London and the TSX V market in Canada. The market capitalization is currently around £8.3 million sterling. and that share price has been gradually creeping up since April. That's Mkango Resources trading on AIM and TSXV with the ticker of MKA. That's all from Blytheway Business News for today. Thank you for watching.